Minaji, because we had to design a name that can stand the test of time. So right now we are Greenham Energy Limited, operated in Kenya here. We do briquette, briquette that are happening, and at the same time we are planning to expand in solar and biogas technology. So thank you guys. Very ready.
By the way, Henry, Kevin came with an idea. Elizabeth came with an idea. So you can see our social innovators here. Monica, go ahead. Monica, are you able to unmute and speak? As Monica is doing that, Marceline, please go ahead. Marceline, I saw yours in the chat, so I'll skip Mark. Monica says, I'm a social innovator and founder of Soko Yangu. I'll read. Founder of Soko Yangu. Our focus is creating market links to farmers. Again, that is our social innovator, came with an idea. Michael Watch is a .youth board member. So we also invited our board members and ESG consultant. I don't know what ESG is. Well, I want to assume it's something to do with the environment. Mercy is our community leader. Pauline Wakesho, would you like to unmute and speak?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pauline Wakesho, community leader.
Thank you. Jacqueline, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jacqueline Jaria. I'm a community leader based in Nairobi.
Thank you. I can see Kevin is also an ESG consultant. Phoebe, go ahead. Phoebe, are you able to unmute and speak? Samuel. Phoebe and Samuel Amwezi Zumuza. You can type in the chat. Alice Ndabe.
Hi everybody, my name is Alice Dambe, a community leader in Kisumu. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. Harriet Napora. Harriet, are you able to unmute and speak? Aye. Please put in the chat if you can't speak, Yvonne. Jared. Rosalie. The reason why we want you to put in your chat so that Henry can understand exactly what you do and is able to give examples that are, thank you. Thank you, Samuel. Samuel is also a social innovator. He does paint. Rosalie, can you speak? Rosalie is also a social innovator. Rosalie works with young women and men in terms of she makes shoes and they sell it. Right now, Rosalie is building a factory. Rosalie, there, I can see you've unmuted. Please speak.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm glad to be here. My name is Rosalie Akinyi, and I'm the founder of Rack Swahiliware. And at Rack Swahiliware, just as Pete has mentioned, we recycle the used tires to make genuine leather sandals. And in the process, we involve the unemployed women and youths within our locality. Those who didn't get the chance to go to school, we train them on beadwork, and we also take them through entrepreneurship, such that they can not only work for us for the rest of their lives, but they can also open up their own businesses to impact themselves and their families. Yeah, that's what we do. And I'm looking forward to today's session. Yeah.
Yeah, and what Rosalie has not told you, Henry, that she's just built a factory. The challenge she's having right now is electricity. And you are one person that I
Yes, Kenya Power is messing me up.
Yeah, Kenya Power. Henry can tell you his story with Kenya Power, and he can be able to support you on that. Doreen Karibu, you can say hi.
Thanks, Petronila. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me, Petronila?
Yes, I can.
Hi. Okay, hello. My name is Doreen Kanaiza. I work with Digital Opportunity Trust Kenya as the communications officer. Yeah, I'm happy to be here and I look forward to learning.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. But I want to take this opportunity to officially welcome Henry. Henry will tell you a little bit about himself and a little about his journey. But I also want to mention that we are recording this session simply because there's some of us who would have wanted to be here, but because of one reason or another, they're not able to attend. And so we'll be able to share this video with them. So Henry, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Petronila. Kindly confirm if I'm audible.
Yes, we can hear you.
Right, thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Henry Mkare. I'm joining you guys from Kilifi County, specifically I'm based in Kilifi town. I proud myself as a .dot youth, though I've also served as a YLAB member, Youth Leadership Advisory Board. I think we are the pioneers of YLB, but I pride myself as a .dot youth more because the impact .dot had probably in my life, it has been a lot. I joined .dot in 2018, immediately after I registered my organization. So I had this dream, but now the only challenge I had was how to actualize it. So I registered an organization by the name Kickstart Kilifi. So what we do at Kickstart Kilifi, this is a learning hub where we work with mostly out of school youths and school dropouts. So we equip them with skills that we believe are going to make a difference in their life. Mostly we focus with digital skills, entrepreneurship and life skills. So when I joined .dot under their youth leadership program, that's 2018, I was able now to learn a number of segments to enable I make my dream project a reality, because by then it was still a dream that I had. I was just come from school because I finished I graduated in 2016, then I got a scholarship to India to study project management. On my way back, I lost all my academic certificates, which I've never recovered up to date, right from primary all the way to postgraduate. So I'm amid this confusion where to start and all that, because I believe I had skills, but then I don't have evidence to show that I've been to school. So when now the idea of Kickstart Kilifi came into mind. .dot held my hand. I was able to learn, for instance, how to pitch potential partners, how to bits of fundraising, how to manage a team, how to develop even a curriculum, because I really needed how to know how to develop a curriculum so that when I set up my learning space, at least I can have something to train my youth on. So that was a journey about, it took me about 2 years, and maybe something that I can, as to why I proud myself as a proud .dot youth, the human-centered design thinking concept. That I might say really transformed or changed the way I view at things to a large extent. And maybe it's one of the reasons why Kickstart was able to transform from a dream to a reality as I speak today. I remember sharing my compelling vision for social change. It was a 10 years journey. I shared with Petronilla, like in 10 years, I want Kickstart Kilifi to move probably from my head to something on the ground, a learning space, fully equipped with equipment, and youth are able to learn various skills. But then through the support and efforts, I was able to actualize this dream in about 2 to 3 years thereabout, because as I speak now, we are actually having the first fully solar powered ICT hub in the whole of Kilifi County. We are the first one, Kickstart Kilifi, a fully solar powered ICT hub. I had issues with Kenya Power close for 2 years. Rosaline was saying she's having a challenge with Kenya Power. Rosaline, first things first, the easier way for you to fundraise if you're looking for power in today's world, go the solar way, because climate change is a big issue and it will be very hard for you to raise funds, especially from potential donors for power if you are going for electricity. So clean energy is the real deal. So if you're looking for power, any other person that has power needs, that's the route you need to go. For me, Kenya Power only requiring 200,000, solar required about 800,000. But believe me not, I spent more than 2 years trying to raise 2,000 through fundraising. It was not possible, but I raised 700,000. I was actually a go-to support for solar project. The other one I have now to change it to something else to support my work, because both donors were interested to fund my solar project, raising a whooping 800,000 in each of those donors. So Rosaline and the rest.
Sorry, Henry.
Energy.
Rosaline just dropped out
Yes.
when you're mentioning that, so there's something she's missed out. When you are talking about the route to go, please repeat.
Yes. So probably since you have to get the recording, probably should get insights. But of course, I'll share my contact so you guys can reach out to me for any support even after the session. So I believe we're just here to share knowledge. And maybe also aside from being a dot youth, I'm also an alumni of YALI, Young African Leadership Initiative. I'm also an alumni of Kantari Leadership Training Institute. This is a leadership training institute that is based in India. And I also work for the Ajira Digital Program based in Kilifi North as a center manager. So maybe that's a brief bio about who Henry is. So I believe now know who the presenter is. At that juncture, allow me to proceed straight away to share my presentation, which I'll just call it. These are just insights of what I've been able to learn or gather in the last 5 years as a founder of a social enterprise. So I'll be taking you guys through fundraising, and so you guys are going to learn from me. I'm also looking forward to learning a lot from you. Ask as many questions as you can, so that at the end of the day, this session proves to be beneficial to you. Because for me, I look at everything that I do as an investment, and the return on investment is very, very critical. So this session,
before you proceed. Sorry,
Yes.
Henry. So
Yes.
you can remove your video. I think it's slowing you down a little bit, so you can remove it. Yeah, go ahead.
So I hope now it's better. So I've entitled this presentation as a guide to planning your fundraising journey, because I believe everyone here who is a social entrepreneur, in one way or the other, they are facing a challenge when it comes to raising funds, because you require finances or funds to enable you to kickstart your journey. So what is fundraising? Fundraising is basically it's a process. It's never an event. So it's a process that takes time, where you seek and gather voluntary. It can be financial contribution, or nowadays we have contribution in kind. You can engage individual businesses, charitable foundations, or even government agencies. So mostly As I said, fundraising used to be based mostly on the monetary value, but nowadays we even have the in-kind contribution, which are very critical, and I'll be able to share with you how for us we are able probably in this journey. As I speak now, I've raised about 6.4 million through fundraising. That's around 49,317 US dollars. So why do people fundraise? Number one, can be to grow a business. Number two, to finance a project or an event. I've read there's someone who is running an organization thinking Homa Bay, dealing with political rights. Then to support a cause, it can be to cover unexpected expenses. Maybe someone is ill, there's no cash at home. People do fundraise to support that unexpected cause or some expenses. Or at times, even we fundraise for students to go to school. So why do people give? Because I'll tell you, it's not easy, for instance, someone to give you money for you to finance your dream. Most people they expect something in return, but why do people give? Number one, people give because they feel a connection to the organization. For instance, maybe I'm interested in education, and then there's a project or someone who's fundraising to take a kid to school. Definitely such a cause, since it resonates with my passion, I'm going to support that particular cause. At times, it can also be through your peers. All my friends, maybe at my workplace, have given out to this particular cause. I'm the only odd one out, so I feel indebted to give out. Another reason, it can be someone asks them to. Maybe someone has borrowed, hey, we have this cause, we have this issue, kindly support us. Another reason, it's geared towards making a difference. Maybe there's something I want to change the community, but then I don't have that time to do. And there's a social innovator or a project that is tackling that particular issue. So I might donate that particular cause as my contribution towards maybe changing the situation. Another reason can be to share their good fortune. Maybe you have just earned some huge amounts of money and I feel like beyond what I was expecting, sort of excitement or my kindness, I'd be interested to donate a few. And then there's another reason for recognition. By the way, most people prefer to be recognized, although not everyone, but mostly. So someone will fund you so that they can get that recognition. So and so was able to support a project X, Y, Z. Then second last, they have a belief in the institution or confidence in leadership. I'll be talking about this in the next slides. And then another reason, mostly for tax reasons. People don't want to pay taxes globally. So if you donate to charity, at least you reduce the amount you are going to pay your country's revenue authority. For our case, it could be KRA. But again, on the flip side, why is it that people do not want to give? Or why would you fundraise, send proposals, create that pay bill on Mchanga, and then it doesn't attract anyone? So some of the reasons why people don't give, number one, is when the solicitation is infrequent or purely communicated. If you don't communicate your ask well, it will be very hard for it to be funded. And I'll be sharing with you the tenets or segments of what a good ask should look like. Number two, when there's concern about management. Having the right management, having the right team in an organization or in an enterprise, very, very important. Because any person who is interested to support you financially, maybe they request you, for instance, they need to check your books of accounts. How do you manage from the last funding you got or the little contribution you're able to collect from members of the public? So if these are not well put, then believe me not, you are not going to get that particular support. Another reason can be they don't see how their gift will make a difference. So again, how you craft an idea or a project to be funded. Your idea or theory of social change should be very clear. I'm giving you 10,000 shillings. I want to know or see the difference my 10,000 shilling is going to make. If that thing is not clear, then definitely I'm going to shy away from giving out. Another reason, some might feel unwanted or they are not needed. You are fundraising maybe for solar, you require 500,000. My capacity is 100,000. If you don't approach me well, I might feel even if I give you 100,000, it will not be able to support you to reach your goal. So again, there's no need for me wasting my resources because I'm giving you a support that is not going to help you to actualize the need you have. And then another thing, when they were given an acknowledged gift in the past, if someone supports you, you need to thank them. We should not take it for granted, even if you know probably maybe they donated to you because they are running away from Mkare, but mind you, that's somebody's sweat. The honorable thing to do, thank them for the effort and the contribution they did to your dream, because they are funding the idea that you possess. Another thing, they were not asked to give or failure to ask for specific amount. Very, very important. Before you craft a project or an ask, you need to be able to sit down, do your maths well, know that this particular project I require this amount of funding, and then go ahead, break it down. Why do you require 100,000? Break it down to the last detail. Your budget should be very clear so that I know I'm supporting this guy with 100,000 or 10,000, but out of this 10,000, this is what he or she is expecting to utilize this amount. And of course, at the end, I'll expect your account for it. Another thing why people do not give when the timing wasn't right. We have foundation or donor foundations. Normally they have cycles of picking application. So you have to check, synchronize, and know their patterns well. There are some who do probably January to March. Once that cycle is over, you have to wait for the next year. Others do from April to June. Others do all the year round. So it all depends. You have to check this and align your proposal or the idea you want to be supported in line with their timings. Another reason can be the organization mission wasn't compelling. Whenever you are developing a social enterprise, the mission and vision, they have to be super crystal clear so that if you pitch, I know as Kickstart Kilifi, this is what you want to do, this is your vision, and this is how you are going to achieve it. But whenever your vision is not very clear, then trust me, it will be very hard for you to earn trust of people who will support your cause. Remember, these can be people who know you. Some might not have ever heard about you, but again, they need to be convinced to give the money that they have, or even if it's a donation of in kind, I need to be able to resonate well with your mission so that I feel the personal touch and be able to contribute, whether they are seats or maybe other items that I would like to give towards your cause. So how do you plan your fundraising? This is a very critical segment. And here, there's a tool that I normally use. It's called the CLEAR project. So CLEAR is an acronym for communicate, likable, effective, accurate, and reliable. So number one, you should be able to communicate the idea that you want it to be funded. The communication should be very clear. I remember one of my mentors told me, if you want your project to be funded, it should be clear to the sense that if you teach the same project to a grade 1 student, they can be able to go back in the evening to explain to their mom or dad that so and so has this project, something that is very clear. So it should be something that can easily be communicated. I know you might probably be assuming the one who was coming up with a factory, there might be a number of things that you are doing, but as the way you communicate your ideas, simplify it as much as possible, because some of these donors might be experts in the field you're investing, some might not, but maybe someone is just interested. Number two is likable. your project should be likable to the person you are pitching to. If they love your idea, definitely they are going to support you. If they don't like it, chances of you getting support, you can guess. So how do you make your project or your idea to be likable? Like for us, I give an example. For us as Kickstart Kilifi, we do all those trainings. But again, if we decide to do a project that we need support on, for instance, the solar project, what I did, I looked for donors who are interested in funding solar project or solar energy, so that the idea, when I pitch it to them, it's automatically a plus because something they love. So I believe we are on point at that point. Effectiveness. Effectiveness comes on the solution part. For any social entrepreneur, I believe you are tackling or you have brought on board a solution to a community problem. So this solution should be effective. As you write your proposal or your idea that you are looking for support for, I know there's a problem, a definition, problem statement, but the solution should be very effective so that I know Project X wants to tackle, maybe assuming the issue of, maybe now we have issues to do with GMO. You want people to go back to organic farming. Maybe that's the issue you have selected. The solution you are bringing on board should be very effective to this particular problem you have highlighted. I'm not expecting, for instance, that example, in your solution or in a budget, there's something like money where you are purchasing chemicals, because I know, again, chemicals does not resonate with organic farming. So your solution should be very effective. Number 4, accuracy. Accuracy comes on the budget part. Your budget should be accurate. Accurate in the sense that if you are telling me, for instance, you want to train, you are training assuming 20 youths in digital skills. How many laptops, computers do you need to train these 20 youths? I don't expect you train 20 youths using 2 computers, because that will not be accurate budget. Or you train 20 youths with 30 laptops. So your budget should be accurate and realistic. So it should be very accurate and realistic. If your budget is not accurate and not realistic, definitely, even no matter how good your idea is, you're not going to get support for it. Number 5, reliable. Reliability comes on the issue of sustainability. Nowadays, I'll tell you guys for a fact, any proposal or any online fundraising that you are going to get, people will support you, but then one question they'll ask you, the issue of sustainability. How are you going to survive once the funding I've given you runs out? If you are going to convince me at that instance, definitely I'm going to support you. If you can't convince me that upon the funds that I've given you have run out, that means the end of the project, then definitely that's not a reliable solution to that particular problem. It's not a reliable project, because people nowadays are looking for what we call resilience. No matter what challenges you face, but you should be able to bounce back and continue the work you are doing. So I hope we are good at that point. Maybe I'll pick questions at the end. So if you have questions, that jot them somewhere, and then once I'm done with the presentation, then I'll be able to pick questions. So once you have the idea, you have a clear project that you can pitch to a potential donor, potential investor, they are what we call the stages of fundraising. And these stages are main 3 stages. And stage number 1 is cultivation. For those guys who do farming, for you, before you plant, you have to cultivate your farm, ensure everything is in order. So here, when it comes to fundraising, the same thing. What do you do in the cultivation stage, your cultivation phase? Number 1, you have to identify potential donors. You have to research, because there are millions of donors outside here, but not every donor suits your cause, because every donor has their own area of interest. We have donors interested in projects in health, education, climate change, agriculture. Some have cross-cutting fields and all that. So you need to identify the rightful donors for your cause. Number two, activity that you need to do as you cultivate, you have to build a relationship. Irrespective of whether this donor is based in the US, Switzerland, wherever part of the globe, you have to build a relationship with him or her. Number three, you have to generate interest in the organization. Generate interest in the activity they support, and themselves, they need to generate interest in the activity that you do. When there's that, what we call a win-win situation, a mutual agreement, then definitely it will continue, proceed to the next stage. So number three, activity number four, you need to show a prospect of how your enterprise is about. Share a little bit of your history, the programs, the impact, the social impact you have been able to create. Probably, assuming even if you have never gotten an external funding, but I want to believe maybe you fundraised or you got support from your friends or through your own savings. Share that particular story of how you have been able to contribute towards making a difference with those little resources that you already have. Once that is done, you move to the second stage, which is solicitation. So solicitation, here you present your case. By presenting your case, you basically share your clear project, a project that is likable, accurate, reliable, that's communicate itself, because you might be sending this proposal via mail, you'll not be there to explain it. So it should be something that explains or speaks for itself. And then other activities here, now you participate in maybe meetings. If they invite you for video conferences, now you can participate. You have activities like pitching. So all those activities that happen under the solicitation stage. Once that is done, you move to the third stage, which is stewardship. So what happens at stewardship? You have sent this proposal to the potential donor, they have expressed interest, maybe they have supported you. Now you have moved to the third stage. The third stage is very critical. Mind you, stage number one and stage number two, for me, I normally equate, because I mostly train on life skills. I equate this to hard skill. But stage number three is soft skills. Hard skill will enable you get the job done, but soft skills will enable that client to come to you over and over again, irrespective of how many businesses sharing the same floor with you, selling similar products. So stewardship is more of the social skills part, or life skills, how you communicate. So for instance, someone has supported you. Number one, we expect once everything is done, the dust settled, you do a report, share with them an impact report, show them how the contribution or the difference that their donation was able to make. Thank them, of course, number one, for them contributing. Do not forget to thank them later once everything is done for the work that you have been able to accomplish with the support that they gave you. Very, very important. Many people forget or fail at this stage. You get one donation from a donor, you do everything right, but then you mess or you forget on the social skills part. And what happens? They just fund you once and they'll never, ever fund you again. For me, this is something that I was able to capitalize, and I have a donor who has funded me 3 times because of this. Because I will always keep on like thanking them and reaching out, sharing our story, even if they are not the ones who have funded that particular project, but just to remind them that we still exist and we are still doing that wonderful work that they once supported us or helped to get us going. So there are 5 strategies that, as I said, out of my own learnings for the past 5 years, I've been able to learn that I believe are very critical when it comes to fundraising. Number one, the most important, you have to know your goal. I know as a social entrepreneur, everyone have different needs, but one need that cuts across all social entrepreneurs or all dreamers I know the issue of finances, because we need this to get our idea moving. You need someone to invest in your idea. Once you have the resources in place, maybe now you are generating revenue, you can continue to support on your own. But at the beginning, I know you really need support. So you have to know your goal, very, very important. So for instance, I expect you to have like an annual goals that you have. For instance, annual fundraising goal. What is your goal in particular? How much money do you want to raise in a particular year? Like, how much do you feel if you get this support, it can get my business or my idea moving from stage 1 to stage B? So you need to have that in mind. Number 2, you have to evaluate, are your goals smart? Yes, having a goal can be one thing, but again, your goal needs to be very smart. So you have to check that. Is it smart? Is it specific, measurable, accurate, realistic, and time bound? Very, very important. And then, what are you going to achieve with the support you are going to get? Like assuming your goal is 100,000 this particular year. What are you going to achieve with that 100,000? That's something also that very critical you need to have. And then most important, what strategies and approaches would you like to take to get you to that goal? Those are questions that are very, very critical to strategy number 1. Strategy number 2, you need also to know your resources. Yes, you have this goal, you have this dream to fundraise this amount of money, but then how much resources do you have that can support you to reach or arrive at that goal? And these resources, mostly I'm talking about here, because I know resource number 1 you're looking for is finances. So of course, you don't have that. But resources in terms of time, do you have time to fundraise? Do you have a team? Or if you are sole proprietor, do you have the capacity to fundraise? That's a resource that you need to have. If you are missing that critical component, what steps are you taking to ensure you learn fundraising skill to enable you go for that goal? So the resources part, because mind you, you can't reach that goal without resources. So you need to check, do you have maybe a budget? Because assuming you are doing an online fundraising, you require some budget to promote the fundraising campaign. So maybe you require data, airtime, those kind of stuff. So those are the resources you need to put in place. Strategy number 3, you need to know your team. So your team, like for now, when I started, I was alone, but now I have a team. So like now, if we plan to fundraise, we normally distribute or I delegate resources. But you don't just delegate to someone. You have to check the capacity of each member. Are they able to deliver this task? If they are not, can you then be able to capacity build them to be able to support you on that particular bit? Because one thing that I also need maybe to bring to your attention, as a founder of a social initiative, you are going to spend so much time and resources to develop your dream. Before people believe in your cause, you will have sweat a lot. So this requires a lot of sacrifice that will need to come at your end. Of course, when things start moving, you are going to attract a lot of friends, volunteers, and all that. But at the beginning, that might not be the case, although it varies. There are guys who get like a support right away from the beginning. Some, it might be a different path and all that. But one thing that I have to remind you guys, at the very beginning, you are going to do a lot of things on your own. You'll be the one to fundraise. Probably you'll be the accountant on your own. At some point, you'll be the marketing person, all those kind of roles. So you need to brace yourself for that. For those who are already running their projects or initiative, I'm pretty sure you are privy to this. So number 4, you need to know your donors. I think I've already spoken about this. So know your donor, know their interests, know their funding cycle, know their budget rates, so that you don't send a proposal to a donor who can fund you to a maximum of 200,000. You send him or her a budget of 1 million. That will not make sense. And of course, you're not going to get support. So these are things that you need to take into account. do a background check, develop a database. As I speak now, I have a database of roughly about 200 foundations. These are foundations that are interested or donors that I was able to map out from the internet that have an interest in the area that Kickstart works in. So what I do, I just check the funding cycle of donor X, Y, and Z, be able to align my programs or my fundraising plan towards that particular cause. And then the most important thing, you have to know your limits. We are human beings. No matter how much we try, we have our own limitations. Very, very important. Do not kill yourself as you strive maybe to live that particular dream. It's very, very important because I realize most founders of a social enterprise and more so for those of non-governmental organizations, I've come to realize most of them are suffering from mental health issues worse than even their beneficiaries. And the reason is because you want to carry everyone's problem in your back. You feel the community is expecting a lot from me, so I really need to ensure I solve all these problems for people. That will not work. As you do or implement your project or your idea, do not forget yourself. You have limits, so know your limits. For instance, there's someone who has a capacity to fundraise, maybe do 10 proposals per month. There's someone who can do 2, there's someone who can do 3. You are not competing with anyone. I normally tell my participants, I mentees, be the best version of yourself. There will never be another Henry Mkare in this club apart from me. Maybe names might be similar, but whoever that person will be, they'll have a different attributes than the ones I have. So know your limits, know your team. You can set targets for your team, but they should not be extremely high. They should be something that can be achievable. Something else very, very important when it comes to fundraising, there's this bit of local giving where many people forget. When we talk about fundraising, we just focus mostly to the external donors and all that, but we forget our very immediate environment. And if you ask me, because for the 5 years I've been fundraising, as I speak now, for us in Kenya, the donor space is shrinking. More external donors are now pulling out of our country. The reason their site in Kenya is now, I think, a middle income level country. So at least they believe you can be able to stand on your feet a little bit, sort out 1, 2, 3 things. So that means funding is reducing, competition is increasing and all that. So there's need to focus on the local giving or local fundraising. And here, the issue of donation in kind comes into place. Very, very important. If we are running a project, I believe some of the reasons why you're looking for that fund might be because you want to purchase 1, 2, 3 things. How if you get someone who is able to support you with those items? Like for my case, we do trade. Instead of purchasing computer, there's an organization or maybe a school or a company that is like phasing out their computers. Instead of asking them to give us maybe 50,000 to purchase computers, what if I approach them to give us those particular items? It's easy for them to give those items than giving cash. So that's something we need to really take into account. Number one, ensure you need to build trust with the local, maybe local companies or local donors, if I might say. And how do you do that? You have to balance between your online, offline, and online activity. Most of us, especially social entrepreneurs, as youth, we prefer the digital space to market our product, showcase the work to the world and all that. But maybe have you asked yourself, like here in Kenya, now we are close to 50 million people. How many people are in the online space currently, like out of our population? I want to believe between those who are in the online space, owning smartphone and can be able to purchase data every day, and those who cannot are still many. So that means a huge chunk of our population is still offline. So as you get carried away with the online marketing and showcasing the work you do not forget the offline one. Number two, practice community-led approach to win local support. And how do you practice this? So if this is a project you are working, maybe like those who are doing agriculture, this demonstration farm or this farm that you want to showcase this new kind of farming should be at the heart of that particular local community. Involve the local people so that they feel part and parcel of this organization. They feel part and parcel of this social enterprise. Remember, as a social entrepreneur, your end goal is not about making money, but you are making money to sustain the project, of course, with a little profit, but also to contribute towards social change. And the most sustainable change will be change from within. Change from outside, it's not sustainable. The moment that business goes down or goes underwater, the community will forget about that particular project. But if you involve the local community and they feel part and parcel of this project, then you are rest assured of sustainability. And that's how you are going to earn a lot of support in terms of donation in kind. You will get guys donating seats, furniture. I've had others even land being donated for them because they were able to practice community-led approaches. Number 3, showcase your impact offline and local fundraising, make it a priority. So local fundraising can be reaching out to these local shops, local companies. We even have the local leadership, involve them. Like for my case, I do training. So at times I used to approach even the local politicians. We have this project, these students cannot pay fees. Can you maybe sponsor maybe 3 or 5? So if that local politician is able to sponsor those 5 students, that's a plus for you because you have earned their trust. The students will feel Henry was able, or Kickstart was able to go an extra mile to ensure we don't miss out on this training. And of course, at the end of the day, I got that little fund that I needed to ensure my project keeps on going. And then lastly, very, very important, you have to be accountable and transparent. This community will give you all the support, but then they will be watching over you to check how are you utilizing the money that you are able to collect, how are you utilizing the resources they were able to donate to you. If they, for instance, they donated land, how are you utilizing that land to their benefit? If you are not accountable, definitely it will be very hard for you to attract other funding. So we also have online fundraising platform. I felt this also something that I needed to have or to take you guys through. So there are millions or thousands of different platforms in the globe. These are just a sample of a few that I was able to collect from the internet. But there's something else I want to share with you. As I said, fundraising, as a founder, you're the one who is going to decide whether you are going to do proposal, you are going to focus on local fundraising, or you are going to focus on this online fundraising platform. So for the online fundraising, for those who like to go the online fundraising route, number 1, you have to ensure you have a clear project, because these are platforms that have been set. There's a template you are going to fill in, and your project, you're going to post it online so that guys who get interested in your project can be able to contribute. So your project should be very clear. Clear, I want to believe you still remember the acronym for the word clear. The project, the problem statement should be very clear, show the needs in that particular community. Your solution should be very accurate. Your budget should be very, is based in Australia, they can check and say, hey, this is project XYZ. I want to fund this waste management project in Kibera because I have a passion in waste, and this is something that probably aligns well with my personal principles. You have also to determine your audience. In the online space, we have all sorts of people. So you have to determine the audience, people you are going to target. Also set reasonable goals. Your project, if you put it in the online space, it's going to compete with so many projects. There are so many guys who are fundraising. For instance, if you check GoFundMe. If you check, there are so many causes that run at any given point in time. So your project is going to compete. So your goals should be very reasonable. Also determine what you can offer your sponsors and make a list of prospects. For instance, I've seen guys maybe are saying if you donate like maybe $100, there's maybe a gift wrapper or gift hamper we are going to send you. So it can be something physical, it can be something online, but at least something just to motivate people to donate. At least the resources needed, that falls under the budget. Also consider the timing of the event. There are proposals that will fetch huge amount of money depending on timing. For instance, now we are talking about, we used to talk, there was drought, now there are issues to do with floods. So if you have maybe a project, maybe tackling issues on habitat, specifically about floods probably, now that's something that might sell. So the timing is very, very critical. If people are speaking about climate change now, and you have that particular idea, probably it's the right time for it to sell or get support. Another thing, you have also to collaborate with others. Online fundraising, I'll not tell you guys it's easy, it's not. It requires a lot of resources, time and commitment. You'll not be able to do it alone. So collaborate with others. I've seen guys like collaborating maybe 2-3 social entrepreneurs. So we fundraise for a certain project, maybe after 2-3 months, someone posts their project. So what we do, if maybe Henry is fundraising, the friends of Henry, collectively, they go ahead and donate. So that at that platform, you can see today the donation was maybe 5,000. Tomorrow it has risen to 5,500 and all that. So I've been able to reach out to my friends. And of course, if money keeps on growing, external members will get attracted for a cause. You can imagine you donate something only to wake up after 2 weeks. Still, you are the only person who has donated to that particular cause. So that also something you need to take into account. Also set timeline for your campaign. So the campaign can be for 1 month, 1 week, 2 weeks, depending again on the needs. Then develop a creative marketing campaign. That's why I said online fundraising, it's not easy. This requires like a lot. For those guys who have tried Mchanga, I want to believe now you know how tough it is to do an online fundraising. And then, of course, lastly, as a rule of thumb, do not forget to thank your donors and sponsors. Thank them again and again and again. So things you need to know about fundraising for your social enterprise. Again, you need to put into account this. Do not accept every check that is offered to you. Not everyone who comes to support you has good intention. Maybe someone is involved in money laundering and they want to stash that money to you. So you have to be very critical. As I said, if you remember during the stages, you have to know your donor very well. If you are saying among your values, maybe there's non-discrimination, and this company, maybe I'll use an example, maybe Coca-Cola, as of last week, probably maybe there was an issue on discrimination, maybe among a member of staff, and they are giving you under their CSR activity, this funding, you have to be very critical, because you might take that support and it might deny you some other funding for so many years to come. So do not just accept support, because don't accept food from anyone because you're hungry. Some might have even poisoned you. Number 2, when you try to raise funds, pay attention to 2 things, story and data. This is very, very important. As you reach out to donor, these 2 things will stand out. Share your compelling story to them so that they can be able to connect. Number 2, data, statistics. Yes, you are telling us there's a problem of waste management. Show us, for instance, how much tons of waste are generated every day, so that you can be able to create attention, and someone can be able to know this is a serious problem. Yes, we are talking about, for instance, maybe you want to train women maybe on some hands-on skills. Why do you want to train them? show that there's that data that can back up your information. Data normally, if you have to quote, it should be maximum between the last 5 years. Do not give statistics of 10 years ago because situation might have changed. So now, like we are 2023, so it should be up to 5 years back. Number 3, cultivate an investment. Cultivating an investment is about building a relationship. As we said, if you reach out to this donor, build that relationship, because if you build that relationship, they'll be able to support you today, or they might not be in a position to support you. But because you are having that relationship, some years back, they might be able to support you. I remember last year on 4th October, I received a visit all the way from UK. They reached out. I sent them an email in 2017, December, while I was still in India, but I had just figured out what I wanted to do. So I told them I have this project I want to implement when I go back home and all that. They told me, we don't have support now, but we'll put your email and the name of your organization on our records. Someday, if you have maybe funds, we might reach out to you. And in 4 years' time, last year, they were able to come. They flew all the way from UK to Kilifi, specifically Bama. That's a rural place, about 50 kilometers, to see my project, because we have been in touch all those years. They never supported me at first, but I used to share with them the little progress that I've been able to make over the years, until they felt now we should come and see your project. And now we need to support you because we feel we have funds that can be able to support, to help your project progress or move to the next step. Also try to raise money in chunks rather than increments. If your fundraising goal for the year or your budget for your organization, social enterprise, require maybe 500,000. The easier way to try to raise that 500,000, maybe once or twice. If you can manage that, it will save you a lot of time and resources, so that you have much time to focus on the work that you want to do. Because otherwise you'll be required to be fundraising every 2 weeks or every month and all that. So the moment also you get support, do not rest. If you reach like at my level, because now I have a team of guys who will be doing my work. So my main goal is to ensure the project keeps on growing. So like now we have 3 skills that we offer. And my dream is to make Kickstart Kilifi an experiential learning hub for hands-on skills. So I'm now investing all my time in fundraising to get other support to bring other skills training to the center. So the moment you get support, do not rest. Look for other support so that you ensure your project, you build it to be in a sustainable level. Because for me, I normally tell myself, my journey was in 10 years' time, I no longer be doing any writing or sending out any proposal, because my project will be stable, should be able to generate its own revenue, pay its own staff, and able to pay me, and of course, enable us to have a few to invest in the work that we intend to do. Also, another thing that you need to take into account, investors and donors can offer more than financing. If you reach out to this guy, do not talk about money all the time. Some have, they can give you even other kind of support, skills training. Some can donate part of their staff to come and train you. So do not always look at their support in the financial aspect alone. There's quite a lot that they can be able to bring on board. Like for my case, there's a donor now who has agreed. They actually supported us by purchasing us an accounting software, and they'll be bringing on board one of their team members to work with our finance person for a period of 3 months, just to capacity build them and all that. So you can imagine how much I think we could have spent as an organization, maybe to look for someone to come and train our personnel. Lastly, use every interaction with an investor as a way to make a concrete ask. If you ask me for something like today, assuming we meet in an elevator, I ask you, what does your organization do? It does X, Y, Z. How can I be of help to you? You should be very specific. Like, I'm looking forward maybe raising this amount of money, and this what I intend to use this money for. This is the impact that this kind of support is going once we get this kind of support, we are going to create this kind of impact. So your ask should be very concrete. If it's not, trust me, no one is going to support you. But having said all that, it's not a bad process, to say the least. Even if I can maybe say I've raised about 6 million as of now. But I can tell you in my first year of fundraising, I did a total of 48 proposals. Only one went through, because then I was more concerned about the numbers instead of the quality. So I focused on the quantity instead of the quality. But as of now, I tell you guys, focus on the quality instead of the numbers. It's not a crime to do, for instance, maybe 5 proposals in a year and get 1 or 2 funded. It's not a crime because you're not competing with anyone. So, but of course, things might not work. So you need to know how to handle rejection. There's a proposal that you are very sure this will go through, or there's a pitch you did, you're quite sure this will go through. Then all of a sudden you receive that disappointment mail. Hey, XYZ, we were thrilled to receive your application, but because of maybe XYZ, we are not in a position to fund you. So do not take it personally. Just have faith, trust the process, keep the door open. You should not be discouraged. If someone gives you feedback, appreciate it. Some, they don't even give feedback. So what you do, learn from it. Add additional information to change the perspective or prospects for that particular project. Ask yourself, why was donor X was not able to fund this project? Maybe there's something you missed out. Improve on that so that next time you send out that proposal or you send out that ask or you do that pitch, you are able to make it better and be able to attract some support. So I believe we are on point. And at that point, that marks the end of my presentation. So if you don't ask, you won't receive. The only way to fail is by not trying. That's what I can leave with you guys. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Henry, for that. I think now it's question time, and it's very important to ask questions before, and you can raise your hand and ask him questions, and ask a few for myself so that, because I've known what your journey has been. But there's a question from Marceline. Within the 5 years, when did you get your first fund?
Thank you. So I registered Kickstart Kilifi in February 26th, 2018. I received my first support in November the same year, about 9 months thereabout. The first support was for 100,000 Kenya shilling. That was $1,000 US. Then that was my first grant.
Yeah, so it looks very little. Some of us here have gotten $1,000 as grant, and some of them have gotten $700. So given by Dot. Elizabeth, you have a question?
No.
Okay, so I know, Henry, I'll come to you, Mercy. I know, Henry, that you've been able to get funding from different organizations. The first one is the one that you talked about from India. Can you talk about, I think that would interest these young people, who those people are, and how did you build your relationship with them to get that funding?
So actually my first donation was from the US.
Yes, the philanthropies.
Yes, the Pollination Project.
Yeah, please start from there.
We call it the low-hanging fruits. Like they call it seed capital or seed funding. They are giving you a seed so that you can plant it, and of course, the expectation it's going to grow to a very big tree. So their seed funding is capped at 1,000 US dollars. That's around 100 if multiplied by 100 Kenya shillings. Of course, now it will be 130,000 thereabout. So the pollination project, this foundation funds social innovators, even if your project is not registered, unless if they have changed their policies. But during our time, they used to fund projects, even if your project is not registered. And this money was being sent even. They used to send, if you're not registered, they'll send it in your personal bank account. But again, remember, stewardship, the third stage of fundraising, you have to be accountable. If you eat this seed, of course, you're not going to plant, and there's no tree that will come out of it. So for me, I was able to utilize that 100,000 to set to get the wheels rolling.
And I'm just going to make a comment.
Yes.
On that pollination, it was not only, I think we got like 2 or 3 young people who got that pollination funding, and they're philanthropists. So long as you can state what you're doing, and if they're still there, that is an opportunity that any of you in this space can be able to get. To you, Henry.
Yes, so the pollination, actually, they have funded a lot of projects in the country. So what they do, they'll just ask you to find a local person they have funded to do like a background check of you and doing a right to you a recommendation letter. So I believe now pollination project has funded project across all the 47 counties. So if you check, there are so many people that have been funded by the pollination project. Some, of course, were able to progress to the next stage, some didn't. If you manage their funds well, the next time they usually invite you for what they call impact grant. The impact grant is for 5,000. That's around 500 Kenya shillings. So this is an invite. They send you an invite for those guys who have been able to utilize the seed funding. So this normally the money is there. They ask you just to do a clear project, and so that they can be able to evaluate you and of course support you.
There's a question here, a follow-up question, Henry. For that funding, do they support any business or they only support a social impact business?
For pollination project, they support all kinds of business. What is critical for them, and they are very mindful about animal rights. That's something that you really need to look into account. So maybe if your idea deals with animals, then of course, if it doesn't, you have no big issue, but human rights for them, it's a very, very big issue. As of recently, I also checked, they have a lot of interest on the issue of climate change. So if you are doing anything, they'll have to ensure you align yourself to climate change principles or ideas and all that. So issues like deforestation, they don't look through. If you're doing agriculture, of course, it should be organic farming. They don't do chemicals and all that. But they fund project all rounds, like in all fields, be it education, health, climate change, agriculture. They used to fund even on livestock production, all kinds of project, beekeeping.
Thank you. And the next funding, tell us a little bit about that. I can see time is, we only have 12 minutes.
Okay, so maybe very fast, as I go to that, I go to the question on Alice. Alice, I say, how do we identify a potential donor, and how do we have a specific format for a proposal? I hear different formats are very critical. There are 2 kinds of proposals. There's what we call open proposal and close-ended proposal. Close-ended, where a donor will give you a template like the pollination project. Questions you just fill, problem statement, solution, budget, you fill. That's a closed. For the open application or open proposal, also that one I'll say it's very easy. If you use the clear project tool, most important, ensure number 1, of course, there need to be an introduction part of the organization. Tell them the social enterprise, a little bit history, when was it found, your mission, vision, what you do, all that, maybe a paragraph. Number 2, problem statement. What's the issue that concerns you, that particular community? Number 3, solution. Yes, there's a problem. What solution are you bringing on board?
of course, how different is your solution to the so many solutions that are available outside there? So I believe DOT was able to do justice on this. The selling point, your solution have to be unique. That's number 3, I think. Number 4, the budget. Your budget has to be very accurate, very realistic. Let it be aligned toward the activity you want to do. You cannot tell me you want to do training. I go to the budget part. I don't say any bit on maybe a training room. There's no maybe cost for a trainer, unless now you tell me you're going to use volunteers and all that. So the budget part. Number 5, the impact. What impact are you going to create? Once I give you this fund, what impact are you going to create to this? And then number 6 can be the what we call action plan. How long is this project or this activity going to take and all that, so that it's easy for reporting purposes. So for the open proposal, for me, I normally tell them it's the best. I've done a proposal for 1.5 page and managed to raise $10,000 US. That's close to about 1.3 million, just 1.5 page. The other page was just for the budget. So it's about the ability to communicate. How do you identify a potential donor? As I said, you are the one who know what your initiative is about. A potential donor, look at their funding area of interest. That's number 1. Number 2, look at the countries they support. You can see a donor, but maybe they prefer to support maybe only Northern Africa or Asia. So look for the areas they're interested in. Number 3 tip, do not go for the big foundation, the likes of Bill and Melinda Gates. Those guys will never fund a startup because they require a lot of documentation, which we don't have. Even as of my capacity, I can't go for those kind of funders or donors. So start small, look for this foundation that funds startup. And of course, their budget is normally low. They'll give you the little funding and all that. Build on that. Once you are able to build on that, is when now you'll be able to get that support. Like for my case now, there's a support that I got recently, I think last month, from USAID, the first of its kind. That's $15,000. That's about 1.8 million. So this is because I've managed 5 donations so far. So at least now my capacity has grown. But from the start with these small foundations. Look for foundations that fund startups.
So Henry, do you have a list of those foundations that they can start with? You can share.
Maybe I'll share you a little bit list later on.
Yeah.
Yes.
In your PowerPoint presentation, you can share that list so that we can share with them. And then the last one, because of what is the time point for the stewardship stage? Jacqueline is asking.
What is that?
She's asking, what is the time point for the stewardship stage?
Time point.
Yeah.
The stewardship, number 1, I've said accountability. Every person who gives you support, even if they don't request a report, just make it a habit. Give them a report, an impact report at the end of that particular activity. Some, they don't ask you, just to check on your personal values as a person. So just make it a habit. And of course, don't forget to say thank you. Very, very important. And also keep them informed of what you do. If you are developing, you have like a quarterly newsletter, you have events and all that. Just send them this email, invite them. They will not come, but at least they feel you still recognize and appreciate them that they were able to involve you.
I think one of the things I want to say, when Henry's team group was with us, we didn't give them as much money. And I remember what Henry asked for was a camera. Why did Henry ask for that? Is because he wanted to take a record of everything that he was doing so that he's able to communicate to his sponsors on what he is doing on the ground. I think that is what you said, Henry, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, and I still have that camera up to date, and it has done a wonderful job. I know maybe it has done a wonderful job to showcase the work I do. There's a question from Mercy. I'd like to respond to this. It's saying funding can be given to any other kind of business, or it only dwells on giving back to the research. Mercy, and not about non-profit organization alone. In fact, nowadays, as I said, the donor community is shrinking. Even those guys in the non-governmental organization are feeling the heat nowadays. Any proposal they send out, the part on sustainability, very, very important. So, because donors, they will not continue to fund you for the rest of their lives. So they want to fund projects that upon like the funding runs out, the project is able to generate maybe revenue to continue impacting that particular community. So now most funds or funding goes to the social entrepreneurs. Nowadays, if you're aspiring to create a charity organization, you struggle to raise funds. For charity organizations, maybe the big ones, the likes of Red Cross, Plan International, World Vision, because for them, they already have a pool of donors in their database, and some are funded by churches abroad and all that. So for them, their fundraising is sustainable. But if you are now creating a charity today, because someone will ask you a very simple question. Yes, for instance, you are assuming giving scholarship students to go back to school. After maybe I don't have cash to send you to pay fees for them, what will happen? I might have supported the student for 1 year and then the second year they drop out. So what will I have done with the cash?
So thank you so much. I think what he said that is very crucial is that they fund social entrepreneurs. Social entrepreneurs mean you have three bottom lines: planet, social, and profit. So planet, people, and profit, the 3 Ps. So you cannot not have profit. So you must be generating some money to support and to ensure that you're sustainable. One of the things that maybe we want to do after this is that support. Henry, I don't know whether you'll allow us to come back to you, especially in proposal writing. We want them to be mentored a little bit on that. I don't know whether we can talk about that if it is possible. But we're also calling upon the social innovators here who've done well to mentor those who are lagging behind a little bit. Our next training is going to be on marketing, how to market your goods, how to market your services, and we are going to let you know on when that is going to happen. We are looking for somebody to support you the way Henry has supported you, and we'll give you dates on that. But the most immediate is that mentorship of some of you who are doing very well. I'll reach out to you to support the others who are struggling a little bit. But for now, not to waste any more time, I want to thank you, Henry, for really putting together something very vital for these young people, for opening up. I know time has gone and you did not have, we did not have enough time to ask many questions, but I would like you to send me any questions that you have onto our WhatsApp groups so that I can share with Henry. And if he can answer them, that will be great. But for now, thank you very much for joining. May God continue blessing you. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Boniface Mange is asking, just to whatever, if by mistake you receive bad money from a donor what can you do to clear your name? I have heavily learned very important.
That's a very critical question. Maybe that's second to it. Boniface, I want to believe this money it's very strange. For instance, someone doesn't have what do I call it, account number of your business and they send you money, but in the event it happens, always reach out to them, ask to understand what was this money meant for. Because if you don't do that, and assuming you go ahead and spend that money, and maybe someone just maybe missed a digit on the account number, you might even be sued. But most importantly, the issue on money laundering I've mentioned, to be very, very careful. Do a background check. No, yes. Because someone might be engaged, for instance, in terrorism activity, and they send you cash. You use it, the next morning, police will be knocking at your doorstep. You'll have nothing to defend yourself because the bank records are there, and these guys will generate the bank statement, and you'll have nowhere to hide. So you have to be very, very careful. Thank you.
And then another thing, guys, young people are a target for money laundering. So when you go online and you're desperate looking for funds, you can be a target. So before you accept any money from anyone, you have to do a background check. due diligence. Even not as an organization, we don't accept money from just anybody. Yeah, even though we get funding. So for you, even as a young person, remember there are people who are targeting you to put you in the wrong places, to use you for money laundering, for fraudulent activities. So ensure that you're always doing a background check. So I want to leave it there, but I think that is, if you've not gotten anything, that is very crucial. And when you're talking about wash, even here in Kenya, people will be looking for your organization to do wash activities. So you have to be very careful. So I want us to stop there so that we can let you do other things. It's just 1 minute today where we were to stop. I will reach out to Henry, especially in terms of proposal writing and the organizations that they can support, can give you support, but I'll also reach out to some of you who are doing very well to support others who may be slightly behind. And for that, thank you, social innovators, for joining. I can see your hearts are in the right place and each of you are going to succeed. So may God keep on blessing you and blessing the works of your hand. And for now, I wish you all a good afternoon. And Henry, have a safe journey as you travel. Thank you so much. Marketing training will come as soon as possible. For now, bye. God bless you. Bye, guys. Later.